don't mind. And I used to work for a button company, a manufacturing facility in Chicago. And about 10 years ago, I had sent you some buttons like Big Muff and the faces, and you ordered some of them.
Oh, really?
When I was a younger girl.
She's, actually, I have it here. Years ago, back in the late 70s.
Yeah.
I ordered these buttons.
Yeah, those are cool.
I don't know what the company was or whatever.
It might be on the back. Let's see if it's on the back, maybe. Maybe not.
I don't see
Sometimes they put it on the rim. Maybe not. Okay, cool. But yeah.
So this is all I have left. I had thousands of them.
Yeah.
But, I make stuff, so I'm not a collector.
Right.
I sell everything we make.
Yeah, you have to. That's why you're such a successful businessman.
Well, I've been doing it since I'm 5 years old. I'm in the business.
Yeah. Your cranes interview was fantastic.
That was nice, yeah.
That made some rounds for sure.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought it was just going to be seen locally.
Yeah.
And an old friend of mine, Bobby Columbi, who was one of the founders of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, was with a friend that he was happened to be talking about me to a friend out in L.A. he lives.
Yeah.
And it popped on the screen there, and then it showed up in England. I was surprised that they had such a wide viewing of that.
Yeah, it was extensive. It really got into it, and Cornell and IBM and all that different stuff. Your past.
Yeah.
It's awesome. What do you see as being the future for what you're trying to do?
Well, we released so many pedals over the last month, and we're coming out with more new stuff. And as Mike said, we're coming out with a couple of amplifiers.
That's awesome. This is
our
catalog. Cool.
Also, you'll enjoy reading this. This is
Ooh.
a story of, my trip to Russia in 1979.
Groovy.
That's how I got involved with the vacuum.
Ooh, that's so cool.
This is
yeah, black light. That is sick.
yeah. What happened on this?
That's awesome.
Over there, that's the original.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Wow,
gotcha.
What happened was when I got out of college, I knew I was eventually going to go into business. And I had 3 nice, interesting offers, all were different. And one was with IBM in sales out of New York.
Yeah.
And I picked IBM because it was in New York. I thought there'd be more business opportunities. So, but then in college, I played in a band. I was a really good player back in the early 60s.
Keys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in the early 60s, and I promoted a lot of rock and roll shows with name acts.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I had itch. I wanted to quit IBM and try to make it. I had that glory dream habit in my blood. So, but I was married at the time. My wife was conservative, so I wanted to make a quick pile of money.
Yeah.
And at that time, the Rolling Stones had that huge #1 hit, Satisfaction.
Yeah.
I think it was #1 for 13 weeks.
Okay.
And everybody wanted a fuzz tone. And Maestro couldn't make them fast enough.
Yeah.
So there was this guy on 48th Street, which was the music street in those days. There was about 40 music stores, all on that one street. All different types and repair shops and everything. And there was this repair guy that was building these fuzz tones one at a time. Bill Burker was his name. So he says to me, hey, Mike, why don't you come in with me and we'll make these much faster and we can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. so I went in with him, and he just didn't do anything. He dropped out, so I was left to make these. So I don't remember how I hooked up with a guy named Al Drange. He was the founder of Guild Guitars, and he later died. They had their warehouse in Hoboken, but their factory was in Rhode Island, and he piloted his own plane. He crashed into the Long Island Sound or something. But anyway, he wanted to buy all the fuzz tones that I made, and at that time, Jimi Hendrix was all of a sudden getting hot.
Yeah.
So he decided to call them Foxy Ladies. So that was, making them for him. And so every couple of weeks, I'd pick up a few hundred from this contract house. I got this contract house to make them. And then I brought them out to Guild, and they'd write me out a check, and then I'd come back and go back to work at IBM.
Yeah.
But by the way, Hendrix, we were really, almost best friends, because I met him when I was promoting this Chuck Berry.
Cool.
And the agent that sold me Chuck Berry, a week before the gig, I had Chuck Berry for 2 nights. A week before the gig, he called me up, said, "Mike, I need you to do me a favor. I got this band. I'll give them to you for 3 nights for $600. I got some guy that plays with his teeth." I says, "But the people are coming to see Chuck Berry. I'll just be spending $600, and it's not going to make me any more money."
Yeah.
He says, "Please, I need this favor. I'll give them to you for 3 nights for $500. So I figured, well, okay, I'll do him a favor, then he owes me a favor. So the Chuck Berry traveled alone, and the promoter would put together the
Supply the band.
So I played keys, and I got some friends from another band from Cornell that were into all Chuck Berry stuff. And then I had him open the show because I didn't know who this other band was. It was called Curtis Knight and the Squires. And the guitar player came up to me, and I went to check the gate, how we were doing.
Yeah.
He came up to me, he said, "Hey, this guitar player is really great." And then we started hanging out, and while I was at IBM, I'd go up to his hotel room. He was in some Fleabag hotel in Times Square, no toilet, narrow room, just room enough. He had his hair always set in pink hair curlers, and we would just talk band talk.
Yeah.
About this drummer and that band and this, and this guy Curtis Knight was a pimp on the west side of Manhattan, and he didn't like playing with him. He didn't like him, and the last time I saw him with that band, he was playing in Manhattan, and he says to me, "Mike, I just got to quit. I want to form my own band and be the headliner." I says, "Well, then you got to sing." He says, "That's the problem." I said, "I can't sing." I says, "Look, Jimmy, if you practice, you can sing." I said, "And look at Dylan and Mick Jagger. They can't sing. They phrase great, and everybody loves them."
Yeah.
And he says, "Yeah, you got a point." And I think that when he went back to England, I know it stuck in his head. It helped him get over the thing to sing. Anyway, whenever he would come and record in New York, he invited me to his studios to hang out. But so meanwhile, everybody now wants to sound like Hendrix. So I
Develop the pedal.
well, I was developing a distortion-free sustainer. This is back in early '68.
Okay.
I hooked up with this inventor from Bell Labs. Now, sustaining a note was not a problem there. The problem was when all of a sudden you play a new note. There's this huge surge of power. There's clicks and pops to trying to get rid of those.
Yeah.
And anyway, I went out to try out a prototype and plugged in front of this box. The sustainer was a little box. And I says, "What's that?" He says, "Well, I didn't realize a guitar put out such a small signal." So I built this booster. And so I clicked on the booster, and all of a sudden the amp was loud as hell.
Yeah.
In those days, you could turn an amp up to 10, and it wouldn't overload. There was a lot of headroom.
Yeah.
So you plugged in the LPV1, the amp would get much louder, and then you cranked it up a little more, it would get into overdrive, and that was the first thing that started overdrive. But anyway, and I don't know why I'm telling you all that.
Because you want to tell us about the story behind your logo, the picture with the curly hair.
So I started selling the LPB ones.
Yeah.
And mail order, and then I got the technician from the place that was making the Foxy Ladies.
Yeah, the
Guild.
outsource place.
Yeah. So I rented a place on Broadway. It was one room about 4 times the size of this room.
Yeah.
The ceiling's about 50% higher, and it was on Broadway and between 29th and 30th, and so he was a hippie guy from the East Village.
Yeah.
So he brought up a bunch of these East Village artists, and they painted the walls with all this different Dayglow paints, and you know, gorgeous Jimi Hendrixes and all sorts of other stuff, and one of the artists was this chick, and she had this black face, which I incorporated and used in our first ads, and that became our logo, that black one. And then she had this, and I bought that, and I never did anything with it. And about a year ago, I decided to make some. So these here that you saw here with black lights are reproductions.
That's awesome.
And we gave them free to all our bigger stores, as long as it was shipped at their expense, you know, with other stuff they ordered.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's hundreds of them hanging all over the world at a lot of stores. So that's the story behind that.
That's awesome.
There's a lot of stories. I've been around for
I
a while.
bet, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
We have a lot of respect for you and all the products that you've developed.
Cool.
Shaped rock and roll.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of people shaped it, but we've had a lot of original sound effects.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's we were the first ones to come out with an analog echo, our Memory Man, the first ones
Just amazing.
with an affordable flanger. Before that, everything was in the studio, rocking tapes.
Right.
We were the first ones to come out with a looper.
Yep.
Our 16-second digital delay. We have first in our POG, our octave divider.
Yep.
And more.
Memory Man, Holy Stain, the
Holy
POG.
Stain, the Holy Stain was nothing original, really.
But you know, just the concept of being able to make a palette, like an artist has a palette with all these different paints on it. You've made some pedals that combine, you know, that toolkit for people by putting them all in one.
Yeah, well, one of the things that's very hot right now is our Canyon delay. It has 11 different delay. It's hot. Premier Guitar just came out with a great review.
Cool.
You could take a look at the demo on our site.
Yeah.
The Canyon is hot.
Right on.
And,
cool.
You know, you came down later. The actual production starts at 7:15 in the morning, and it breaks at 3.
Yeah.
They go home. You know.
Well, we're glad we got to catch you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we take a